Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. Today we are using the Sweet Seasons mugs. I think these guys are perfectly adorable and we are going to be coloring them up to create a card that includes all four of the images. These images are generously sized, so they're about 3 by 3. So I am putting them on a slimline card. I don't even think slimlines are trendy anymore, but I don't pay attention to that because this is what worked best for me to be able to put all four of them on a card, which is really what I wanted to do. So using my Misty, I pulled the foam out because these are red rubber stamps, which means the foam is already built in. And then I am going to ink these up with our Intense Black ink since I am going to color them with alcohol markers. I do stamp my images twice because I like a bolder black outline, but you don't have to. You'll see, like the first stamping is very good because red rubber has like so many details in it. It's really an excellent way to practice your coloring because it has so many details in it. But we're going to be talking about a little bit about neutrals today because we have a lot of neutrals in this particular card. So I know, like when we're buying supplies, like neutrals are so boring. Like who wants gray and, brown and black, and like they're just like, meh, not fun. But when you have a card like this, where the majority of what you have on display is your neutrals, it is very helpful to know and understand your neutrals. So we have our little snowman mug here. He is very clearly some hot chocolate with his little marshmallow topping. And so when we're coloring something white, we want those grays to add our shadows. And so I am coloring my snowman white, but I am also doing the straws. And I will do this for the straws and the candy cane. It is substantially easier to shade all of them as one white object than it is to go in and do all the individual stripes. So here, because we're just adding the shading, I'm adding shading to the left and the right hand side. This is going to help give it a more round appearance. But then I also added shading on the inside of the handle and underneath the little snowman's nose, which we would imagine would be kind of like protruding out from the mug. Then for my Santa, because I chose cool grays for this because I prefer cool grays for things like snowmen, for things like Santa's white hair, things like that. And so in these, in this set, like we have the snowman, which is obviously the majority is white. We have Santa, the majority of him is white because we have the trim of his hat, we have the little snowball at the end of his hat, his mustache, his beard, his eyebrows, like those are all white. So we are adding in the shadows for those with our gray markers. And then the other two items, which is a little reindeer, obviously you could make it Rudolph if you change the nose to red. I left mine black. And then we have a little gingerbread. Man, woman, whatever you like. And so we are going to have quite a few neutrals, but we want everything to work together really nicely. So I chose the cool grays for the bulk of my white. And then I'm also going to use it for some of the accessories, but not all, because I need there to be a balance between the two. I don't want all of my whites to look the same. So I'm using it for the straws because they're separated from the rest of the body, typically by marshmallows or whipped cream or whatever. And then I am also using it for the trim on the gingerbread. So now for the other part of the toppings, the different layers of whipped cream and the marshmallows, I'm going to switch to a warm gray. And this is because even though we have lots of neutrals going on here, we do still want there to be some interest. And so a warm gray means that it leans a bit more to, I'm going to say red, but it doesn't look red. It just has like a more brown base, where a cool gray has more of like a blue or a purple base. And sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference until you see them right next to each other, and then you can really see that there is a distinct difference. I'm also going to incorporate these whites into the other elements of the card. So into my little snowman scarf, into, like I said, those straws and candy canes, into that little like snowflake cookie. I'm gonna, put a little bit of the white in there, and repeating those colors when we have like a couple of different elements going on does help us to bring everything together and help them look more united, and like they're more like a set that goes together. For the whipped cream on all of them, I went with the warm grays, just like I did with the marshmallows. And again, because we are coloring them white, we're only adding in the shadows. So we add shadows where two things meet, where one object lays on top of the other. But in this instance, when we're coloring things white, the white of the paper is our fourth color. So we do want to make sure that we are leaving some white in our design as our highlight, or it's not going to read as white. It's going to read as gray. Also, something to know, because as of right now, we have no other colors on the paper except for warm grays and cool grays. First of all, I do think this is kind of a cool look. I think that doing like the shading in the grays does give them kind of maybe like a little bit more of a vintage kind of feel. But anywho, they laying them all out, we are only going to see that gray right now because it's the only color that we've put on the paper. So it is easy to think like, oh, I've gone a little bit overboard, I've added too much, and it's not going to read as white. But wait, hold off judgment on yourself or me until we add in the other colors, because when we start to add in those other colors, we will start to see how those grays kind of recede to the back and act just as shadows. So I chose the skin tone for my Santa as a more of a Caucasian skin tone. The reason that I did this is because I want to use those same colors for the lightest part of my deer face and ears. But if you are a family that like we're a mixed family, so it could go either way. If you wanted to do like a black Santa or a Santa that had, maybe a kind of middle of the road kind of skin tone, you could use the colors that we are using for the antlers and the cinnamon. That would be a good color combination for that. But I wanted my little reindeer here to have lighter ears and a lighter face. And so this made the most sense for me when I was picking my skin tone for my Santa. So I have the lighter color in the face of the Santa, and again, we're repeating that in the face of the deer. They have these little, little cheeks drawn in, so I wanted to accent that with the lighter pink, and then once I've gone in with that R20, I'll go in with the lightest color, for Santa and the reindeer. I started to go in with the C1 to kind of blend it out, and then I realized that a lot of my cheek was in my white area, so in order to blend that out, I am going to use a colorless blender, and that's going to work much better to blend that color out. So I've chose some warm browns. And again, warm just means it sits more so on the red side of the color wheel. And I chose this because this is a good gingerbread color. But in order to repeat my color scheme, I'm also doing this as the color of my deer. So now I'm going to have two mugs that the majority of them are white and two mugs that the majority of them are brown. And you'll see when it comes to like putting the card together that I do take this into account when I am arranging them in my final design. But once again, we're choosing good neutrals for what we have going on. Adding in the warmer browns is going to play really nicely because we have that like warm kind of gingerbread. Now you could flip-flop them if you wanted. You could do the antlers a little bit of this warmer color, and do the rest of the deer that darker brown. But to me, I think antlers are usually darker. Not that I'm staring at a lot of reindeer, or deer for that matter, but I do think the antlers are usually darker than the body. And so that's why I chose to go the way that I went. So isn't it crazy that like we're already into November and we're coloring the Christmas things? I can't believe how fast it's going. The last video that I put up was a little Halloween one. And we did do trick-or-treating that night. We lucked out. It did not rain. And it was chilly, but Jelly Bean and I, in our little K-pop Demon Hunter outfits, we had the like fuzzy, like leotard and leggings on, underneath, like in a nude color. And honestly, it really was not too bad. So I was very grateful for that. My in-laws came out. My son and my ex-husband, he brought him over here to go trick-or-treating with his buddies in the neighborhood. And then we went around. It's next to impossible to keep up, which kind of did make me a little sad in the beginning, but it's like one of those things where it's like, you can't blame him. Like, he wanted to run house to house and go with his friends, and I totally get that. But then you have the littlest Jelly Bean, like, yelling for him, like, wait up, and like her little legs just can't carry her. So we ended up just like to kind of for everybody to have a good time. I was like, listen, you can go with your brother to 2 or 3 houses, okay? And then after that, we're going to let him go be with his friends. And then, you can go trick-or-treating with mommy and daddy. So, and my in-laws. So that is what we ended up doing. And it ended up working out fine. I did think that there was a lot less trick-or-treaters this year than in past years. I did not see as many, and everybody said like they didn't think as many houses were open. I didn't really notice the houses, but I definitely noticed there was less kids. So yeah, it was good. And then this weekend was very busy. They had, where my husband works, they had their little Fright Night thing. So he actually was working that. And then my sister's stepdaughter, I guess, she does crafts, which is amazing. She does like jewelry. She's blind. She's been blind since birth. And she makes her own jewelry and stuff. So we went to go support her at the little craft fair. Let me go back to the card real quick. So what you saw me do is I just got out the R32 for the blush on the cheeks of the gingerbread. And it's because he needed a little bit of extra pigment because he was a little bit darker. So this is the same thing I would recommend. If you do your Santa with a darker skin tone, then just pick a darker cheek color. So the R32 usually works pretty well for me. And then I've gone more of a neutral with the 50s family, the E50s family, to do the antlers and the cinnamon. So again, everything works nice. Oh, and I use it for the hot chocolate too. We're repeating those same colors. All of these things are working really nicely together. And up until this point, the rest of your colors could be anything. So like you could do a snowman, even after the holiday season and do, his little scarf in, blues or teals. And like he would be a cute little addition to a card. Same thing with the deer. The deer, you could do that for like maybe a winter birthday, or the 2 of them for a winter birthday. And that would look really cute. So using the neutrals, okay, and getting like this part of it down, then allows you to really like play with these extra colors. Now, I did go with a traditional red and green since we are still heading into the holiday season. But you certainly don't have to. The neutrals just give you a really nice base for then what you would want to combine, your other color schemes. And it's a good way to try out other colors, knowing that you have like those neutrals as a solid base to try out other color schemes that maybe you wouldn't normally try out. I have a lot of color combinations that I've pinned on Pinterest. Sometimes I'm not so good about using them because I forget to go check, but that is, you know, when you're just like, you're in a rut or you want something different, or maybe you feel like I've colored these the same way every time, you know, you can keep your good neutral base and then just switch up your secondary colors. So, anyway, we went to the craft fair. I met my sisters there with the little jelly bean, and she was pretty good up until like it was getting close to nap time, and I knew we were going to be pushing it. And also, like, I bought a pair of earrings from her, so I'll have little snowflake earrings for the holidays. But then I always just buy food. Anybody else find that? Like, we used to also go to the Christmas Connection. It was like this huge thing that they put on. We went every year with Mom, and they actually announced this year would be the last year, which for me last year was my last year because I don't think that I can go without Mom. And so, but we always bought food, jams, sweets, jellies, popcorns. Yeah. So while I was there this time, I bought some cookies. I bought some fudge. I bought those earrings. I bought the dogs some treats as well, some little peanut butter treats. So food for everybody is pretty much what I bought. And then that night we came home, we did pita pizzas while we played Candyland. Speaking of Candyland, does anybody remember? So I had actually said this in the, when I was buying it. And at the store, the lady was like, oh, I remember Candyland. I had played that when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, me too. Mine came with a VHS tape. Like, my Candyland came with a VHS tape that you watched with it, with like Lord Licorice and the, you know, Gummy Bear Mountain and all that jazz. Am I misremembering this? Did your Candyland have a VHS tape? I feel like I need to go on Google and start searching. Like, am I not right? I remember watching it on the television while I played Candyland and watched the video. But anyway, so I bought her Candyland, and we have been playing. So we made pita pizzas, which is just pita bread with you know, pizza sauce and some cheese. We both just eat cheese pizza, and then I have a salad and she has some fruit. And while we eat our pita pizza, we play Candyland. That has been our kind of thing that we've been doing for the last 3 weekends. Anyway, it's fun. Because I like to play games, and I'm glad my kid wants to play games with me. Back to the card. So here with this little ice cream like cookie candy thing, I started to color it in red, and then I was like, no, I should really shade the snowflake first. So that's what you saw me doing. I went back in with those cool grays and shaded the snowflake. I'm going to color right over the majority of it with the red, so I'm not super worried about coloring, you know, that whole area instead of just coloring the snowflake, because we're going to cover it up and nobody's going to see it. So we came home, we did that, and then she actually had 2 costumes because she has a Halloween party at daycare, and then she also has a Halloween party this year. Since we were in dance, we had a Halloween party at dance. And so like the full costume, like the full K-pop Demon Hunters costume, has a lot that goes into it. And so for these other little things, we just got her, I got her a little cat costume. So it's a dress. She loves dresses with like the twirly skirts. So it has like a tulle skirt, and it's a black dress with the black glittery tulle, and it's long sleeve, and it has a little cat face on it. And then I got her some cat ears. So that's what she wore to dance, and that's what she wore to daycare. So we did, for the regular Halloween, we did the full-on K-pop Demon Hunters thing, which, by the way, you guys are gonna get to see that card at some point this week, because her birthday is tomorrow. She's gonna be 4 tomorrow. Can you even believe? Can we all just have a moment of silence for the fact that my babyest baby is gonna be 4, and I am not ready? So anywho, So when we went and saw him at work, like for the fright thing, we did the cat. And so I painted her a little cat nose and little whiskers, so that it was a little bit extra because she had gotten to dress up a lot the night before. But also for Halloween, since Rumi, the character that she was, has purple hair, I used purple hair gel to like slick back her hair into the little braids. And then I like once I had it in place, all the fake hair, I bought fake purple hair. I had it all braided into place, which was a nightmare on its own, by the way. And I was in literal tears because I just couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. Eventually it worked, thank God. But then once I had it all in there and I like bobby pinned it in, I had to spray it with the purple spray. And I was like, this is going to be just like the spray that I had when I was a kid, and she's going to have purple hair for the next 3 weeks. But actually it washed out in one wash. Like after we got home and we had, a more substantial dinner, because Lord knows they don't want to eat anything substantial before they go trick-or-treating. So I got her into the tubby and it washed out in 2 washes. I was pretty impressed with it, honestly. So since she got to dress up so much the night before, we made it a little bit more fun to do the cat costume by doing a little cat nose and whiskers, and then of course we put glitter on it. So back to the card. So here I'm kind of switching up the like red stripe, green stripe kind of straws, and this one I'm doing kind of an all 3. I'm doing the green and the red, and then for the nose, I'm making my darkest color that same red. So again, these colors are in kind of the same vein, the same family. And then I went over it with my other 2, with the actual oranges, but still having the red as the base keeps everything very matchy-matchy. I then did I forgot about the buttons on my gingerbread guy. So I did that. And then that's pretty much all of the coloring. These were so much fun to color. I think that this would be a great kind of gift to give as like a little holiday set, since they are so generously sized. I'm going to cut them out with their coordinating die. You could do like the Art Deco ones that we have. Those are a really fun shape. You could do those and like put them on there with like a fun stenciled background or 3D embossed background and have like a whole set that's like matchy-matchy. I think that would be tons of fun because they can totally carry the whole card. I didn't end up using a sentiment in the set, but there's also sentiments in that set that you absolutely could use. So die cut them all out with their coordinating dies, and then I'm moving on to the sentiment. So for the sentiment, I am using the Simply Stated. This one cuts out all of the sentiments at the same time. So it stamps them all at the same time and cuts them out all at the same time. And I really liked the one that said Merry Everything. So I'm going to ink this up. You saw me kind of pushing down on it. That was just to make sure that I didn't have any air bubbles. You do want to check for air bubbles with those larger stamps because they can get trapped and then it will affect your stamping. So here I've inked it all up with our black ink. Now I'm going to stamp them down just on some white cardstock. I did end up stamping them twice. And then to get this lined up, see, it all cuts them out in all different shapes, which I think is a lot of fun. To get them lined up, you want to do the 4 little hearts. You could actually, it stamps the hearts, and then you can see once your 4 little hearts are lined up, everything is in the right spot to cut out all of the things. Speaking of this, I do want to mention, this is from the new release. And we are going to be doing an inspiration week this week on the Honeybee channel. And also we're going to have an Instagram hop and then a YouTube hop. And there'll be chances to win gift cards. So make sure that you check back to, to follow along with those things. There'll be tons of inspiration with the new release. If you've already picked some things up from the new release, that might help you, get inspired to use your new products. Here, I just wanted a really simple background, so I ended up using the Mermaid Lagoon for a little bit of blue, and then I also brought in some salvage patina, and then I'm going to do like the little water droplets and the perfect pearls for some shine. There's no, other than blue is my boyfriend, there is real no rhyme or reason to the background. I feel like blue is a neutral. It's not really, but I feel like it matches everything. I feel like blue goes with everything. So it was a nice one to just kind of put into the background. And then because I did use Distress Inks that reacts with water, so I did a couple of little droplets with just clean water, and then I did a couple of droplets mixed with some perfect pearls and did those into the background, so that there was a little bit of shimmer and shine. I'm not going to worry about the bottom until I have all of my mugs in place. You do want to give this a little bit of time to dry before you start adhering everything to it. And I knew design-wise that I wanted to alternate them. I wanted to go like white, brown, brown, white, whichever one worked. And I did try to pay attention to where their straws went. So the snowman, his straw is up and to the left, and the reindeer his straw is up and to the right. So that's how they ended up on the outsides, and the other two ended up on the insides. But other than that, like we have, like I said before, we have this really good base of neutrals. Everything is working really nicely together. And then now that we have added all of these other colors, the whipped cream is reading as white. The marshmallows are reading as white. The snowman is white. The Santa is white. Like all of those things, even though we've done different neutrals, warm grays, cool grays, they also have toner grays and neutral grays, but I don't even own those. So you can use whatever you want. Here, it would have been a little crowded if I was including the whole handle for the reindeer. So I actually ended up scooting it over and just trimming off a little bit of that handle. It made the most sense. If I had to do it all over again, I might have taken my snowman and squeezed him off the edge a little bit. I'm not mad about it. It looks okay. So then here, because we've done the cool grays as the majority of the snow mug and the snowman mug and the Santa mug, and the warm grays are up at the top with the whipped cream, I chose to do the warm grays as my shadows underneath them, because then they aren't going to be sitting right next to the other warm grays, that we want to read as white. So I just went in with that W5, blended it out with a 3, and then all the way out to the 1. This is going to help ground them and just make it so that they aren't floating out in the air. So for this little Merry Everything, it needed a little something. So I was like, well, let me, just use whatever's left over on my brush, and I will make the edges a little bit blue. And and of course I blended in all of my white edges because I don't love the white edges on a die cut, but that's just me. You do whatever makes your heart happy. I honestly, in this one, they probably aren't even that noticeable, but, they are to me, so I had to change it up. So then, and I also did the blue into the background as well as the gray. So then I'm adding some shimmer to these, and then I'm also going to add some white gel pen highlights. For the eyes of the snowman and the gingerbread man, I did go in with a pen and just darken those up a little bit so that they were nice and bold. But anyway, back to Inspiration Week. So there's going to be lots of inspiration and lots of gift cards that you can win. So please make sure that you're, looking out for those. Here are those white gel pen highlights I talked about. I got the straws, the marshmallows, the little berries, the candy cane, some of the little like the bow on the gingerbread man and the nose on the little reindeer. And then here, for some reason, I kept thinking, well, it's going to make the most sense if I put the sentiment in the middle. But I followed all the way through with it, and I did not like it at all. So the whole time I didn't like it, and then I was shocked when I didn't like it after I put it down. Like, why do you do that to yourself, Kelly? So now here, I just wanted to share with you a couple of different ones that I kind of looked at. Here's where I settled on, bottom left, because it covered up the gingerbread legs and a little bit of the scarf, so it wasn't anything that we were going to miss terribly, and that worked out for us. I didn't even add any rhinestones or anything. So that's it. That's the whole card. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you later on for all of that inspiration week I was talking about. Okay, guys, bye.